Week.com. Enjoy the ease of booking your vacation with these prepaid discounted gift cards. You are
The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program's participants and do not necessarily reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Hope everyone's doing good out there. Some big news to cover today, of course. And great guests we got coming up at the bottom of the hour. Thank you for everybody for being here. I'm going to do a better job today with the YouTube Super Chat, by the way. I've been slacking. Your comments and questions will be heard on the air. And really looking forward to having this lovely lady join us at the bottom of the hour. I think she's absolutely great. Julie Roginski, you probably read her Substack, one of the best around, and you've seen her on Fox News and CNBC as a contributor. She does CNN a lot now. She thinks Scott Jennings should be fired. I tend to agree with her. She's going to be joining us at the bottom of the hour. Check us out online, pushingthelimits.live. Of course, the YouTube page, which is at PTL Radio Show, the Facebook fan page, as we keep growing, ladies and gentlemen. And I have so many out there to thank for that. I have to start off the show today talking about somebody who spoke at the White House yesterday, who I actually know, who I've interviewed before, who I think is just an embarrassment to the city of Las Vegas. You might know the show Pawn Stars, and Rick Harrison, who is the, I guess you could say, founder of Pawn Stars. I think I've heard like he makes like he's made like $100,000 an episode. Anyway. So Rick Harrison was invited to the White House yesterday. Now, he has a history and a reputation not very good. I'll get to that in a moment. This is Pawn Stars star Rick Harrison speaking at the White House late yesterday.
I just want to say he's amazing. He's done so much. I mean, so much for all of us. I mean, the backbone of this country is small business, plain and simple. And the last guy in office, all we heard was that we were the evil people, we were the bad people, everything else like that. We don't pay our fair share, whatever that's supposed to be. And he made it tough. And this guy, the big beautiful bill, absolutely amazing. You know what I mean? God bless you for letting me get 100% depreciation. It really helps out. And all I can say is this is literally, I mean, I'm a history buff and I know a lot about this White House thing and everything. Literally, he's going to go down as maybe the best president ever. I love this guy.
Wow. Wow. He's going to go down as one of the best presidents ever. What an idiot. First of all, let me say this. Rick Harrison is an embarrassment to Las Vegas for a number of different reasons. Forget about his views of Donald Trump for a moment. We'll get to that. Rick Harrison has made constantly comments against the LGBTQ community because he's a bigot. Let's go to his late mother for a moment, Joanne Harrison, who sued him over ownership of the gold and silver pawn shop. She passed away several years ago. She alleged that he forced her to sign over interest in the business. His own mother filed a lawsuit against him. Dating back not that long ago to March 2026, Rick was accused of criticizing a GoFundMe campaign that was set up by a friend of his son's after his son had to pay medical bills for a motorcycle crash. He's also been involved in disputes regarding unpaid wages to employees, allegedly, and producers as well, and has faced accusations regarding the management of family assets. Should we be shocked that, in my opinion, an absolute douche like Rick Harrison would be involved with Donald Trump, invited to the White House, and called Donald Trump the best president ever? I am giving you, Rick Harrison, an open invitation to come back on this show to defend this stuff and defend. I won't even bring up any of the personal stuff, even though you have a horrible reputation in this town. I won't even bring up any of that stuff. I will bring up you claiming that Donald Trump is the best president of all time when we're in an ill-advised and illegal war in Iran, when the economy is in shambles, when people are losing their medical coverage and their food benefits. We're spending $2 billion a day on this war, and he's the best president ever. Rick Harrison, you slimeball, you. I give you an open reputation. Your business is about 10 minutes down the road, Rick Harrison. Come on this show and defend your positions. You Trump mushroom gobbling slimeball, you. Whose own mother filed a lawsuit against him. You scumbag. By the way, I've met and I've been very friendly with some of the other people from the show. I've had a few interactions with Rick Harrison. He's an egomaniac, narcissistic pig, just like Donald Trump. But come on this show, Rick, and defend your positions. You slimeball, you. Speaking of slimeballs, let's talk a little bit about Pete Hegseth, shall we? Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, who said apparently Iran does not control the Strait of Hormuz, even though we know that they do. Have a listen to what Pete Hegseth had to say earlier today about that.
2 U.S. commercial ships, along with American destroyers, have already safely transited the strait, showing the lane is clear. We know the Iranians are embarrassed by this fact. They said they control the strait. They do not. So American ships led the way, commercial and military, shouldering the initial risk from the front, as Americans always do. And right now, hundreds more ships from nations around the world are lining up to transit.
Okay, so first of all, the embarrassment is you, Pete Hegseth. Iran does control the Strait of Hormuz. They're firing at our own ships. The Strait of Hormuz was open a couple months ago. The only reason why it's closed right now is because you guys decided to go to war. So spare me your BS. Now they're saying that Iran cannot be allowed to block countries and their goods. Well, guess what? That's exactly what they're doing. But this is Pete Hegseth, and this is what he's saying about this specific international waterway, and he knows nothing about what he's talking about. Listen to this.
Well, as you know, President Trump has directed U.S. Central Command to restart the free flow of commerce through the Strait of Hormuz under the umbrella of Project Freedom. To be clear, this operation is separate and distinct from Operation Epic Fury. Project Freedom is defensive in nature, focused in scope, and temporary in duration, with one mission: protecting innocent commercial shipping from Iranian aggression. American forces won't need to enter Iranian waters or airspace. It's not necessary. We're not looking for a fight, but Iran also cannot be allowed to block innocent countries and their goods from an international waterway. Iran is the clear aggressor, harassing civilian vessels, threatening mariners from every nation indiscriminately, and weaponizing a critical choke point for its own financial benefit, or at least trying to. For too long, Iran has been harassing ships, shooting at civilian tankers from all nations, and trying to impose a tolling system. Iran's plan, a form of international extortion, is unacceptable. That ends with Project Freedom.
It's unacceptable. Slap on the wrist. By the way, when he said critical choke point, I thought he was talking about his dating life, allegedly, but it's unacceptable, ladies and gentlemen, just like when Donald Trump says it's unacceptable. Vladimir Putin's behavior is unacceptable. Can somebody please tell me what sanctions Iran has given up? I can't think of one. Can you? But don't worry, ladies and gentlemen. Everything is going to be okay because according to Pete Hegseth, we have a red, white, and blue dome over the strait, even though the strait is closed. But don't worry, everything's going to be just fine.
All of these ships from all around the world want to get out of the Iranian trap that they have been stuck inside. As a direct gift from the United States to the world, we have established a powerful red, white, and blue dome over the strait. American destroyers are on station, supported by hundreds of fighter jets, helicopters, drones, and surveillance aircraft, providing 24/7 overwatch for peaceful commercial vessels, except Iran's, of course, which is why our ironclad blockade remains in full effect as well. In fact, 6 ships tried to run the blockade out of Iranian ports as Project Freedom commenced, and they were all turned around. This is more than strategy, it's also humanitarian. By breaking Iran's illegal stranglehold, we're protecting the lives and livelihoods of sailors from dozens of countries, securing global energy routes, and preventing shortages that hit the world's poorest people the hardest. Once again, America is using its strength to lift up others. Iran is trying to subjugate the world.
This guy wants to use the term humanitarian. Meanwhile, this is the same guy, in my opinion, who's responsible for the killings of over 175 schoolgirls. How do you think those parents feel? You think what the United States is doing is humanitarian? But let's review for a moment Pete Hegseth's press conference earlier today, shall we? The Strait of Hormuz might be closed. Gas prices might be $6 a gallon. But that's okay because we have a red, white, and blue dome over the strait. Ladies and gentlemen, what Iran is doing is unacceptable. Everything's going to be just fine. Iran has been embarrassed, yet they haven't given up any sanctions, and that's how you win a war. But don't worry, folks. Pete Hegseth, the guy who has a tattoo that says he's 100% white, is at the helm. So everything's going to be just fine, ladies and gentlemen, because he's the guy that's in charge. What a joke. What a sick joke that the guy that's the Secretary of Defense is the guy who couldn't even get a daily job at Fox News. The weekend anchor at Fox News is the Secretary of Defense. And then we go to Donald Trump. This is really scary stuff, ladies and gentlemen. We got to say, I'm sure Iran's shaking in their boots because Donald Trump is demanding they surrender. Listen to this.
It's not the way we play now. We do it the old-fashioned way. And they should wave. They're very proud. Maybe you won't see a white flag, but essentially that's already what they are. They should wave the white flag of surrender. In hockey, they say uncle, right? When are they gonna cry uncle? And they have another expression. If this were a fight, they would stop it. But, we have to go out and we have to do it. And it's.
Yeah. Listen, they need to surrender. Slap on the wrist. That's really scary. These are people that are willing to risk their own lives because they hate America so much. And Donald Trump is saying, this is unacceptable. You better surrender. Very scary stuff. By the way, Trump was also asked about oil prices. And he's now calling it a very small price to pay for Americans that are living paycheck to paycheck. Well, listen to this.
Because we cannot let these people have a nuclear weapon. They'll use it. We can't. I also thought oil would go up to 200, 250, maybe 300. And I know it would be short term, but I thought it would go. I looked today, it's like at 102. And that's a very small price to pay for getting rid of a nuclear weapon from people that are really mentally deranged. Yeah.
Where's the evidence that they have a nuclear weapon? I thought we obliterated their capabilities 8 months ago. Tulsi Gabbard testified under oath 9 or 10 months ago that they had no reason to believe they have enhanced or continued the possibility of nuclear capabilities. But apparently they have them now, and we didn't obliterate them 8 months ago. Where's the uranium? Where is it? Is it dug up in the ground? Where's the evidence? Where is it? I would love to know the answer to that one. And here's Donald Trump lying once again, claiming that somehow he has 100% approval rating among Republicans. I guess Alex Jones and Candace Owens and all these others, Megyn Kelly's and others, I guess they're not part of the 100%. I guess they're liberals. I don't know. Listen to this.
A couple of them I like. A couple of them I can't stand, actually, if you want to know the truth. Although I am, according to CNN, 100% approval within the Republican Party. That's better than your record. Yeah. I'm at 100% approval. Did you see the CNN poll? Nobody talks about it. CNN, I think the people that did that poll probably got fired. But within the Republican Party and MAGA, which is basically 100% of the party, I think, but 100%. No, I think that you're going to see some very interesting things. The filibuster, if you had it, we should have the same.
Did you guys know that? Did you guys know that he has 100% approval rating among Republicans? His approval ratings are 30%. Those aren't all liberals and Democrats. We live in a country today where he's just allowed to lie every single day and people just accept it. 100% approval rating. Have you ever heard a lie like that? I mean, it's insane. Other than, I won the 2020 election in a landslide and the election was rigged. Here's Donald Trump saying that China hasn't challenged the U.S. over Iran. This is also something very interesting. Watch this.
Next week, we have a very important meeting with President Xi in Beijing. Secretary Bessent has said that a top priority on the agenda will be Iran. What do you hope to achieve with President Xi as it relates to Iran?
Well, I have a very good relationship with President Xi. I find him to be a tremendous guy, and we get along well. And you see how we do. We're doing a lot of business with China and making a lot of money. We're making a lot of money. It's different than it used to be. But I'll be talking about that'll be one subject. But he's been very nice about this. In all fairness, he gets like 60% of his oil from Hormuz, and I think he's been very respectful. We haven't been challenged by China. They don't challenge us, and he wouldn't do that. I don't think he'd do that because of me. But I think he's been very respectful. And
China's been very nice. I can't imagine it will be long before Donald Trump is writing love letters to President Xi. I can't imagine it'll be long for that. And, the fact of the matter is that we had a reporter today who asked him about Iran firing at U.S. ships several times. And this is Donald Trump in that, not really, I'm not going to say it was a confrontation, but it was a good question that the reporter asked him about Iran firing at our own ships, and yet Donald Trump claiming that they didn't break the ceasefire. Have a listen to this.
to go outside. Did you want to ask a few questions of any of the people here? Please.
Can I ask you about Iran, Mr. President?
Yes.
They fired at U.S. ships several times in the last 24 hours. What do they need to do to violate the ceasefire?
Well, you'll find out because I'll let you know. They know what to do and they know what to do. They know what not to do, more importantly, actually. And, they fired them in little boats with pea shooters, the pea shooters, little boat with little, why? Because they don't have any boats anymore. Their Navy is comprised of, they call them little boats. Right?
Little boats.
And they're fast. Yeah, they're so fast that that they had 8 of them and they're all gone. And they're fast, but they're not fast like a missile. A missile is slightly faster. They're all gone. So they're looking around for little boats to try and compete with our great Navy. We have a Navy that's unbelievable.
What the hell is he talking about? This mumbling, bumbling fool. As I say every day, and I continue to say, what sanctions has Iran given up? Where is this supposed uranium? Is it buried somewhere? Where is it? Where's the evidence that Iran was an imminent threat to the United States? Where's the evidence that Iran was an imminent threat to Israel? Where is it? The Strait of Hormuz is still closed. We're spending $2 billion a day on this war. Our brave men and women in uniform are coming home in caskets. Tens of thousands of innocent people in Iran have already died. But don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, because Pete Hegseth says we have a red, white, and blue dome over the strait. So everything is going to be just fine. Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen. Pete Hegseth says their behavior is unacceptable. I've talked to you guys about Adam Mockler on this show for years. I first interviewed Adam Mockler 5 years ago. I knew after that first conversation we had that he was going to be a stud, he was going to be a star, because he's just too smart. Adam Mockler is going to be joining us on the show Thursday. But Adam Mockler also was on CNN last night with Abby Phillips. And Adam Mockler just destroyed Lambert on the war in Iran. Watch this.
But the reality is these gas and oil spikes have completely ruined a lot of companies. I mean, bankruptcies overall, you want to talk about Spear in particular, bankruptcies overall among large corporations are at the highest point in 15 years. So let me finish.
We had a spike over 2 months in
farm bankruptcies are at the highest point. I mean, they've gone up 46% since Donald Trump took office. Is that because of Biden too? Are the farm bankruptcies up 46% because of Biden too?
There was a lot of fertilizer issues around farms, but I'm
because
not
of because of what? Because of tariffs? No, I mean this is it. We're talking about bankruptcies. That's exactly what we're talking about.
Biden, and we didn't have bankruptcies
and
there.
The massive inflation under Biden was definitely embedded into the economy, to Noah's point, but it went down. When we're looking at the trends, Donald Trump was handed an economy with 2.9% inflation and spiked it on Liberation Day.
Was handed an economy with 2.4%.
Yeah, but there's a difference between shooting yourself in the foot like Trump did versus having extrinsic factors.
Himself in the foot.
Okay, what do you call Liberation Day? What do you call the Iran war? What do you call the fact that he could have just been steady-handed and had a better economy?
I mean, look, you don't understand how inflation operates. Inflation is from printing money, okay? We don't need to get into whole economics about
who pays
tariffs.
a tariff? Who pays a tariff?
Look, we can talk about we're not going to. I do understand tariffs much better than you do.
Who pays it?
So then who pays them?
Actually, it depends. China paid a lot of those tariffs. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, and the
it's not a
American
free
people
economy.
paid a lot of those. There are attacks on the American consumer.
Okay, well then corporate taxes shouldn't be there either.
Seems like he doesn't know about tariffs.
I wonder,
you know about tariffs?
I wonder if we could return back to the spirit.
Yeah.
I love Adam's cheap shot there at the end. It seemed like he doesn't know a lot about tariffs. No, Adam, you're right. He doesn't know a lot about tariffs. Listen, Adam, I think he's just great. And I have nothing but great things to say about him and dismantling the MAGA narrative on a daily basis. I have so much respect for him. And again, he's going to be joining us on the show Thursday. These MAGA Republicans like Lambert and others continue to try to make excuses. I'll hear them say, well, the war's been going on for 47 years. No, it hasn't. Then I hear them say, well, we've destroyed their capabilities, but yet I hear from other MAGA Republicans, they still have their capabilities. We need to find the uranium. They can't make up their mind. We were told that the civilians needed to rise up. Then many of them were slaughtered. We were told we need new regime change. We got new regime change, and they're saying they're smarter and less radical, which is also a blatant lie. These MAGA Republicans curl themselves into these pretzels every single day, and I thank goodness for people like Adam Mockler who are able to combat it with facts, because Adam is too smart for these people. And then you have people like Scott Jennings who say, you know, get your hand out of my effing face. I'm going to tell you something. If Jessica Tarlov on Fox News, I think she's great, by the way. If she did that to a Republican on Fox News, she would probably be fired immediately. What is CNN waiting for? I've said this before about CNN, and I'll say it again. I'm losing respect for them by the day. First of all, the fact that Scott Jennings is even a paid contributor. It'd be one thing if they just invited him on a panel, right? Like the stuff that Pierce does. But the fact that Scott Jennings is actually a paid contributor and he's allowed to behave that way, he's not even suspended. Do we remember Zoomin Tubin? That was accidental. It was a big mistake and it was embarrassing, but they suspended him for it. He was gone for a while. Then he came back. Scott Jennings, not even suspended for a day. No public apology. What a joke. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, joined by one of my favorite political commentators, Julie Roginski. You've seen her all over the tube, of course, Fox News, CNBC. She's been on those panels on CNN with Abby Phillips, with Scott Jennings. She's been very vocal in calling out for Scott Jennings to be fired
We're going to talk to her about that next. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this, and then we'll take some phone calls on the other side as well. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Nevada voters. Primary is June 9th. Early voting starts May 23rd. Hi, this is EOC. Vote Progressive Democratic candidate Eva Olivia Chase for Nevada State Assembly, District 16. U.S. Air Force veteran, college graduate. I support all Nevada unions and repealing Nevada's right to work law. Support the LGBTQ and gay community. Please donate to Committee to Elect Eva O. Chase at Nevada State Bank. My website is www.eocfornevada.org. Mark your ballot. June 9th. Eva Olivia Chase for Nevada State Assembly District 16. EOC is the choice. Approved and paid for by Eva Olivia Chase.
You are way too smart, way too talented, way too good to be where you are. You are meant to be making way more money, feel way hotter in your body, and having way more fun. Hi, I'm Nicole Mitchell, and I'm a life coach. I help you get hotter and richer. If that is what you're looking for, you can find me at NicoleMitchell.com. My name, Nicole, is with a K, NicoleMitchell.com. You can reach out to me on my website or on Instagram, and I will be happy to be in touch and figure out what you're looking for and how I can support you in getting there.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Paid for and approved by Eva Olivia Chase.
Dream vacation for a week. Over 1,500 sold. A $3,700 value, good for a 7-night, 8-day vacation stay at the resort of your choice. DreamVacationWeek.com. Enjoy the ease of booking your vacation with these prepaid discounted gift cards. You are only responsible for the taxes and occupancy fees. For a studio, only $309 a week. One bedroom, $379. And for 2 or more bedrooms, only $409 a week. Destinations include Las Vegas, Orlando, Cape Cod, Hilton Head, Scottsdale, Arizona, Lake Tahoe, Park City, Utah, Breckenridge, and hundreds of international destinations in Asia, Europe, Latin America, and the Caribbean. Daily resort fees are required. Book now at DreamVacationWeek.com.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining us. Kind of giving you the rundown with guests that we have the rest of the week. Interesting guests, that's for sure. Well, of course, we have Leonard Cardinal, who's going to be joining us in studio tomorrow. That's going to be a lot of fun. The 25-year police officer / lieutenant. He's going to be joining us on the program tomorrow. Adam Mockler taking some time to join us on the program Thursday. That's going to be a lot of fun. He's a busy guy. As I was talking to him briefly the other day,
So Adam Mockler is going to be joining us on the show Thursday. I love Adam. I knew he'd be a star. And he's also a really good dude. Adam Mockler. Warren Smith going to be joining us Friday. But the lovely lady that is joining us on the program right now, I have so much respect for her. I think she's got one of the best Substacks in the business. And, you know, a former Fox News and CNBC contributor, and I love her appearances on CNN. Julie Roginski joining us right now on the program. Julie, thank you so much for being here. It's great to see you again. How are you?
Good to see you. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, appreciate you being here, Julie. Obviously, I love your work, and you were one of the first people to come out in the forefront to talk about Scott Jennings and his behavior, particularly his behavior to our friend Adam Mockler. And you called on his firing. I've called on his firing. Can you expand on that and the way that he's treated you, particularly women, on these panels?
Yeah, I mean, I actually did it well before Adam Mockler. I think that CNN kind of makes strange decisions platforming somebody like Scott Jennings, who does not really know how to debate. I used to have, I always joke, I used to have Scott Jennings' job when I was at Fox. I was one of the few Democrats there, and I was on a panel show called Outnumbered, or The Five, both those panel shows almost every day that I was there. And so I know what it's like to go up against four people when you are the only person in the room who has a particular viewpoint. If I had treated people the way that Scott Jennings treats people like Adam Mockler, the way he spoke to me, the way he speaks to any number of other guests who CNN invites on, I would have been frog marched out of the building, and rightly so, because that's not how you treat people with whom you have disagreement. You try to debate with them. You try to address your viewpoint. You try to make sure that your viewpoint has more merit than their viewpoint. But there's a way to do it, and there's a way to not do it. And I think the way he does it is, I kind of made this analogy in my Substack in January. If you're losing a board game and you're a child, rather than lose, you flip the board game over so that you don't lose. And that's what he does. And that's what he tried to do to Adam Mockler the other day. It's what he tried to do to me. He counts on the fact that his acolytes don't watch CNN, but they do follow him on Twitter. So what he does is he selectively edits clips to make it look like he won, when in fact, he had his ass handed to him, as Adam Mockler did the other day. And consistently happens. It's not just Adam Mockler. I mean, it's me, it's Neera Tanden, it's, Tara Setmayer. I mean, any number of people who he comes on with who he just cannot debate. Most of them are women. Or people like Adam Mockler, who I'm sure Scott is embarrassed, is half Scott's age, but 20 times better at debating than Scott. And I think ultimately that's where Scott feels pressure. But at the same time, I've also heard from people at CNN that they can't do anything about it. I mean, he basically, because of Barry Weiss's impending ownership or tenure at CNN, he runs the place right now.
Yeah, Julie, that was my next question for you, because, if you had acted that way on Fox News, which, by the way, you never would because you have class, but if you had done something like that, they probably would have fired you within 24 hours. There's been no public apology. They haven't made Scott apologize for anything. They haven't suspended him. I remember the whole Jeffrey Toobin Zuman situation where they suspended him for a long time. Listen, what he did was very embarrassing, right? But this was an intentional act of just complete disrespect. What do you make of the times that we're living in today, where apparently you can be a paid contributor on a network and behave that way?
I didn't do it at Fox not because of class. I didn't do it at Fox because I know how to debate somebody. And so when you know what you're doing,
right,
you don't have to resort to telling people to get their, effing finger out of your face or whatever he said to Adam Mockler. When you don't know how to do it, you resort to acting like a 5-year-old. And, I have a teenager at home. He wouldn't behave that way. I mean, it's just, you don't behave that way if you're an adult. And ultimately, I think the problem with with Scott Jennings is that he feels a complete sense of impunity. And the buck ultimately stops with Mark Thompson, the head of CNN at the moment, who used to be the New York Times, used to run the New York Times, used to run the BBC. He knows better. But I think all of these people are so terrified of what's coming with Barry Weiss, and they're so terrified of the looming change in ownership that they don't want to rock the boat, because I think they understand that the person who fired Scott Jennings may be fired in turn for firing Scott Jennings by Barry Weiss. And so that's the world that we're living in right now. Look, I knew Scott Jennings before Trump won again, and I knew Scott Jennings after Trump won again. And it's been a complete personality transplant. Before Trump won again, he was hedging his bets and being very nice to me and to other Democrats because he didn't know who was going to be in charge. Now that Trump won again, He feels a huge sense of impunity. I will say this, having lived through, I keep calling him sort of Timu Craig Gutfeld or Timu, Jesse Waters.
Yep.
Because he couldn't hack it at Fox, otherwise he'd be working there. But ultimately, look, Tucker Carlson felt a massive sense of impunity. Bill O'Reilly felt a massive sense of impunity. All of these people feel massive senses of impunity until they're gone. Ultimately, Trump will be gone and Scott Jennings will be gone alongside Trump. And he's got a couple of years left, and that's about it. And unlike somebody like Tucker Carlson, who really is very talented, even though I don't agree with anything he says, Scott's not going to be able to hack it in the real world. He's at Salem now. They gave him this gig. But he's not going to be able to hack it in the way that a Charlie Kirk was able to hack it, in the way that a Tucker Carlson was able to hack it. He doesn't have the talent to do it. And that's the problem for him, is that he's got 2 years left where CNN is protecting him. But the minute Trump is out of there, so will Scott Jennings be.
Good point. I agree. Julie, last question on this, then some questions on probably some more prevalent issues. But what is it like? I mean, you're behind the scenes at CNN, and I've talked to Adam Mockler about this. He's joining me Thursday. What is it like behind the scenes after you get into these debacles, debates, or arguments when this guy's treating you unfairly? Like after the show, before the show, is he talking to you? Is he graceful with you? What is it like behind the scenes at CNN when you're doing the Abby Phillips show?
Well, I've been shadow banned by CNN ever since I wrote my column on January about Scott Jennings and why CNN continues to beclown itself by platforming him. I have been basically shadow banned by CNN. So I have not been on Abby show in 6 months, which tells you everything you need to know about where Scott Jennings is in the firmament and how they treat people who do nothing more than hand it to Scott Jennings.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, I'm not sorry to hear that. It's just it's the reality of what's going on. And look, I mean, I joke that the column I wrote about Scott Jennings went so viral that it got many more views than Abby Phillips show gets.
That's true. They're struggling with ratings, Julie. You're right about that. That's true.
Yeah, I walked away from bigger things than that. When
Right.
So
well, yeah.
And so, but I will say that back when I was there. Again, during the Biden years, he was very friendly, and his kids would come with him once in a while. And I remember having this great conversation with his children about Pokemon. His sons were into Pokemon. My son kind of got through his Pokemon phase, so I said, next time I see your dad, I'll give him my son's Pokemon cards to hand over to you. Like all of it was very nice. The minute Trump won, he had a complete personality transplant, and basically, I just remember there was a time when you walk into CNN. You go up to the floor where you've got the studio, but you've also got hair and makeup. I don't work at CNN, never did work at CNN, so I don't have a key card to get in. So you have to wait for somebody to let me in. And these are big glass doors. I'm sitting, literally peering at these glass doors. He is sitting in the couch opposite those glass doors, looking at me and would not get up to let me in. I mean, it was just a completely classless thing to do. And that's who he is. I mean, again, I don't say this about Shermichael Singleton. I don't say this about David Urban. I have never said that about somebody like a Tucker Carlson with whom I had a perfectly cordial relationship. Again, I agree with him on nothing. I'm not excusing his beliefs. But, on a personal level, he and I always had a perfectly cordial relationship. Sean Hannity. I mean, like all of these people. So this is not an ideological thing for me. It is a structural thing for me. I grew up on CNN. I wrote a column about this the other day. I'm Generation X. And so when I was growing up, everybody, all the girls my age wanted to, be Winona Ryder, wanted to meet Winona Ryder, wanted to, all I wanted to do was meet Christiane Amanpour. I mean, like, to me, I grew up on CNN. I loved it. I still love it. They've got some of the best journalists, not just in cable news, but anywhere. Working there, who are just fantastic people and deserve better than to have their network be clowned by somebody like this. And if anybody at CNN other than Scott Jennings behaved this way, they probably would no longer be working at CNN. And to have me shadow banned by CNN, to have George Conway be shadow banned or having time shadow banned by CNN because he took on Scott Jennings. I mean, what does that tell you about, was this like a journalistic enterprise because Scott Jennings' feelings got hurt because we happened to criticize him? I mean, it's fine for him to criticize Adam Mockler, I'll be curious to see, has Adam Mockler been back on since?
So he was on yesterday, and he just completely clowned another MAGA Republican last night, which I thought was great, in Lambert. So he was on last night. But it'll be interesting to see what happens down the road, because I think Adam could. I think Adam's great. I think you're great, but he could be headed in that direction too.
Well, listen, it took me a while. It took me a long time before they shadow banned me. And I think the last time was literally when Scott and I just got so into it. But, they, I think, probably have learned their lesson about, too many of us have spoken up now about it being shadow banned by them, so that they can't really do it to Adam. But I will say it'll be interesting to see if he's ever on with Scott again, because I think Scott does not want to be on with him again. And I'll be curious. And what Scott wants, Scott gets.
Yeah, pathetic and sad. I think what you said is really important about talent, even though you're willing to say, and I agree with you. I don't agree with anything Tucker Carlson says or anything Sean Hannity says. But if you're telling me they're treating you with respect when the cameras are off, I think that's a character thing, and that's extremely important. I've dealt with similar issues. I went to AmFest, Julie, in Phoenix with a credential, and Jack Posobiec and Michael Knowles, they were all very nice to me. And then I had a situation last week where I did an in-person debate with the Wilsons. I don't even know who they are, and I couldn't have been treated with more disrespect. So I think it says a lot about the individual, even ideologically. If you disagree with somebody, how do they treat you away from the cameras? And I think that's a character thing, right? That's what it boils down to.
Agreed. I mean, we're all adults. Most of us are adults, and it's interesting because as much fun as he made of Adam Mockler's age and saying, it's past your bedtime, whatever else.
Right.
The only person there acting like a toddler was Scott Jennings. I mean, Adam Mockler was acting like the adult that he is.
Yeah.
It's Scott Jennings, who was acting like a 5-year-old. So,
So I wanted to ask you about this real quickly. I don't know if I could say this word on the radio or not, but Geraldo Rivera called Adam Mockler, quote unquote, a dick and I'm thinking to myself, you're calling him smart, you're calling him eloquent. And then he goes on Piers Morgan, he calls him that. And I'm thinking to myself, Julie, what did Adam Mockler do for you to even make that claim? I thought Adam was respectful.
Let me tell you about Geraldo. When I filed my lawsuit against Fox News, against Roger Ailes, the only person that publicly went negative on me on Twitter was Geraldo Rivera. Geraldo is desperate to be relevant, and Geraldo sees the writing on the wall, and he sees that Adam Mockler is not the one calling the shots at CNN, Scott Jennings is, and Geraldo, I am sure, wants to be invited back onto CNN and wants to be invited back onto, potentially either get a gig at CNN, or maybe he just wants to be invited back. And so he knows where his bread is buttered, and it's certainly true that the person who's running CNN right now, more than any of the anchors, even more than Abby Phillip on her own show, is Scott Jennings, and he gets to call the shots on who gets to go on. And that's all that was about. I mean, Adam Mockler, by any stretch of the imagination, was not being a dick. I'm sorry. I watched that entire segment start to finish, which I typically don't do, but I wanted to act before I wrote about it. I wanted to actually watch it. Adam Mockler was fine. I mean, Scott kept baiting him and making juvenile jokes about how it's past your bedtime and things. I mean, who's the dick here, right?
Right.
And I'm sorry if I can't use that word either, but we're paraphrasing Geraldo. I actually hate
it. Of course.
But so, look, Geraldo is what Geraldo always was, which is an opportunistic person. And I remember Gretchen Carlson came out against Roger Ailes. He was one of the first people to just malign her and trash her nonstop. And then when Roger got fired, all of a sudden Geraldo publicly apologized to her and did a mea culpa because it was no longer advantageous.
Yeah.
To defend the guy who wasn't working there anymore. This is the exact same thing. I mean, it's so predictable that if he had done the opposite, that would have been shocking to me.
Agree. If you're just joining us, Julie Roginski, you've seen her as a former Fox News and CNBC contributor, and she has an amazing Substack. I'll ask her about that here in a little bit. I want to talk to you a little bit about political violence. Yeah. After Charlie Kirk was murdered, we heard echoes from the right saying the left killed Charlie Kirk. After this, another assassination attempt of Donald Trump, same thing. And then you have all these right-wing grifters, as I call them, in unison talking about building a ballroom, and they blame the left once again. And I get frustrated with this, Julie, right, as I'm sure you do, because for decades there's been more political violence on the right than the left. But even with that being said, why can't we just all condemn political violence? Why is it they always have to say it's the left, it's all the left, and they don't want to talk about January 6th, where people who beat cops were called hostages and patriots, and because one deranged individual, we still don't know necessarily his political ideology, a lunatic who decided to do a horrible thing, and then they want to blame the entire left for that. I find it to be so hypocritical.
Because if you both sides this, then January 6th in their mind gets a little bit dissipated, right? Like, you can't excuse January 6th, but what you can do is you say, you see, it's both sides who are doing it. And the truth of the matter is that let's assume that the person who shot up the White House Correspondents' Dinner is exactly who they say he is, which is a registered Democrat who's voted in 4 out of the last 4 primaries, right? So what? That's one person. That's one person. They had an entire movement. The president of the United States incites violence against people all the time. And you don't have Joe Biden inciting violence against people. You don't have Kamala Harris inciting violence against people. You don't have Bill Clinton or Barack Obama inciting violence against people. But here you have the president of the United States who told people to effectively storm the Capitol, who, when they said hang Mike Pence, and they said, Mr. President, you got to do something about this, was like, screw it, he deserves it, who did everything possible to gin up a mob in his name. And yet, somehow they're equating with what some random guy from California did with what the president of the United States does. I mean, it's laughable. It's laughable. But of course, the reason they have to do that is to both sides. I mean, these are the kings of equivocation, these people. And that's where we find ourselves right now.
Agree. Julie, a couple more quick questions for you, and I really do appreciate your time. We actually have a mutual friend, JoJo from Jers, Joanna Carducci, who I also think is just wonderful. I did her podcast the other day, and we were talking about political violence, and then we were talking about death threats, right? JoJo has received plenty of them. I don't know if you have. I hope you haven't. I've received plenty of them, especially as I do Piers Morgan more and more. I get more crazy emails from people. And I'm wondering your thoughts on that. And JoJo is threatened by the Trump administration. There are plenty of people that I know on the left that are now being attempted to be intimidated and threatened with lawsuits and defamation suits. And it seems to be continuing. And I don't even think the Trump administration cares if they win these defamation suits. All they do is they want to silence people like you, people like me, people like JoJo, right?
Yeah, I mean, good luck. I hope she has a good lawyer. I happen to be married to a good one, so if they come from me, no, it's hard. But look, I was on Fox News for over a decade, so you can imagine the death threats that I used to get, and still do once in a while. But the reality is that that's the world that we live in right now, and it's a shame and it's unfortunate, and I'm hoping that it goes away, but the problem is, of course, the algorithm rewards that kind of conflict. I mean, Piers Morgan knows what he's doing by having you on with, some way right-wing crazy person, because he wants the conflict and that's good for ratings. And the algorithms on all the social media obviously want conflict. That's good for generating interest and generating clicks. So that's where we live. And that is something that I think is hard to square with not violating the First Amendment, because of course you can't tell people what to promote or not to promote, other than death threats obviously cross the line. But we live in a world right now that does not reward compromise at all. And unfortunately, with this decision in the Supreme Court, all you're going to see is many more gerrymandered districts that are going to lead to many more extremist positions. And that's not good for democracy either. And it's going to perpetuate this problem.
Two-part question. This will be my last question. Two-part question. Number one, how would you sum up the first 15, 16 months of Donald Trump's administration? I call it extremely chaotic at a minimum. I know that's kind of a loaded question. How would you sum that up? And then the second part of my question is I want to get your thoughts on who you think should be or could be the front runner in 2028. Obviously, Gavin Newsom, if the elections were held tomorrow, he would be the front runner. But I kind of want to get your thoughts on that as well. How would you sum up these first 15, 16 months of the Trump administration?
I mean, unmitigated disaster. We can certainly talk about that in more detail, but I think that pretty much sums it up. It's just a complete and utter debacle. It is blowing up every single norm that we have had. It is blowing up 80 years of the Pax Americana that has made this country strong around the world. It is blowing up a social safety net. It is leaving more and more people poor and destitute and eventually dying. And that's even before the worst parts of the Big Beautiful Bill kick in, which they will as soon as this election's over with healthcare. You know, go fill up your gas tank, go to the grocery store, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's just, you know, on a daily basis. And that's before we even get to what he's done to democracy. So whether in a micro sense about your own personal pocketbook issues or in a macro sense about what he's done to the country and the world, just a disaster. And by the way, the first time was an aberration, but we came back from war one more time, which means that the rest of the world will not trust us again. It will take generations for us to recover if we ever do. I think the American century, unfortunately, is over, and people are moving on without us and countries are moving on without us, which is so self-inflicted that it could not possibly be worse. In terms of who should be the front runner, you know, I kind of have it sounds trite, but I will vote for the first person who says that on January 20th, 2029 at 12:01 a.m., instead of fireworks or anything else, that person is going to detonate the East Wing and is going to detonate this Arc Trump and anything else. And I know it sounds stupid, like we've got bigger priorities in life, but it is a message and a symbol and a signal to the world that we are blowing up this cancer that is the Trump administration. And the first Democrat that stands up and says, this is going to be my first order of business. As I take the oath of office, there will be people, demolition crews, ripping up the West Wing or the East Wing, and I do not care what it costs. And I do not care that Congress may be about to appropriate $1 billion for it. Don't care. I'm going to rip it up. And I'm going to blow up the Arc de Trump if he actually ends up building that monstrosity. And I'm going to rip every gold-plated thing off of the, you know, off of the West Wing, off of the Oval Office, because I want to send a message to the world that I am eradicating. I'm like literally going in and operating on this cancer, and I'm taking it all out. That's who should be the next president of the United States. Somebody who has the clear-eyed vision to say that, because it is both a tangible repudiation of Trump, but it also shows that this is somebody who understands the mission, which is just to eradicate all of this. It has to go. And the best way to do that is to simply say that I will begin with this. As non-consequential as it is, it sends a message.
Whoever the Democrat is, I'm with you. And I hope they do that if we get the victory that we hope we get. There's a lot more to come. Obviously, we have the midterms around the corner, but I'm with you, Julie. Before I let you go, Julie, I just love what you do. And I know our listeners, if they are not on your Substack, they certainly should be, because I think it's one of the best in the business. I think it's your Substack and Ron Filipkowski that are two of my favorites.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's great, because he's so good.
Ron is great. He does my show every week, and I love your Substack. Can you do me a favor? Can you give out that information so that my listeners can follow you and follow your Substack? Because if they're not, they certainly should. Please give out that information.
Really appreciate that, Brian. So my Substack is called Salty Politics. It is on Substack, obviously. I'm also a co-founder of the Mayday Network on YouTube, which is where we do all our video stuff. So if you want to go to YouTube and follow us at the Mayday Network, and also follow my Substack at Salty Politics for the written stuff, I would be really grateful. Thank you for mentioning that.
Of course. And Julie, keep up the great work. I'll definitely tell Scott Jennings you said hello. Okay.
Yeah, he's my best. Send him my love.
He won't talk to me either, I'm sure. Love what you do.
Thanks.
What you do. Please keep up the great work and keep the fight up, Julie. And I appreciate your time so much. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That's Julie Roginski, everybody, a former Fox News contributor and CNBC contributor. She had to put up with a lot of hell at Fox News, and she came out on the other side just fine. She is a tough one. She is a tough cookie, extremely intelligent and articulate, and I love her Substack. I love what she does. That's the truth, by the way. Her and Ron Filipkowski are my two favorite Substacks. They're great. And I'm so fortunate to know them and to be friendly with them. And for Julie to come on, it means the world to me. So I really appreciate her work and what she does. Please follow her and support what she does. She is fantastic. All right. So we're going to open up the phone lines now at 702-221-7283. And again, the number, if you want to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-7283. I'm seeing a theme here of people getting death threats like Julie, like my friend Joanna Carducci, like myself, because people on the right are threatened by people like us, threatened by us fighting truth to power. We're seeing it every single day. I know Adam Mockler, who is going to be joining us on Thursday, has struggled with that as well, but he is a fighter. So as far as I'm concerned, screw Scott Jennings and anybody else on the right. And we're going to continue to do what we are going to do. We are going to continue to fight the good fight and share our opinions and share our thoughts and continue to do what we do. And in fact, it makes us stronger. And you couldn't find stronger people out there like the Julies of the world or the JoJos of the world or the Adam Mocklers of the world or people like Ron Filipowski, who was just threatened with a defamation suit from Eric Trump. He talked about that on this show yesterday. These are fighters. These are the real patriots of this country. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation is 702-221-7283. And again, that number 702-221-SAVE. Now, we are talking about a number of different topics today. Pete Hegseth holding a press conference earlier today. It's all good, ladies and gentlemen, because Pete Hegseth says Iran's behavior is unacceptable. Pete Hegseth said that Iran is embarrassed. No, I think the embarrassment is the buffoon who happens to be called the Secretary of Defense. You had Donald Trump today saying, boy, they better surrender. They better surrender on oil prices. It's a small price to pay for Americans. It's getting insane by the day, the excuses that they keep making, and I've had it. Again, that number to call, 702-221-SAVE, 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Let's start out with Carl, who's calling from Las Vegas. I love my Las Vegas locals. What's up, Carl?
Hey, how are you doing, buddy?
Good.
Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I was on yesterday, but I couldn't get through. So I have concepts of a statement to make.
Go ahead. That's funny. Go ahead.
Yeah. Anyway, you had Ron Filipowski on, and he was talking about Trump and his kids and how they invested in things and made money from these scams and whatever. And I just want to remind people again about Trump's cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
Where he sold to all his people who follow him, his base, for $7 a coin, which had his picture on them. And today I checked, they're worth less than 40 cents. Yeah. So,
yeah. You know, it's
So
interesting when you hear that term, though, right, Carl? Concepts. He has concepts of a deal with Iran. He has concepts of a healthcare plan, alternative facts, as Kellyanne Conway once said. They have these sayings, and they keep being mocked for these sayings, and they keep saying it over and over and over again. When you have incompetent people in power, this is what we get. Look at the situation in Iran right now. Look at this big and beautiful bill, as they call it. Look at where the economy is at right now. Look at where we're at 15, 16 months into the Trump administration. Look at how many people are struggling right now. Look at how many people are unemployed right now. Look at the private sector job growth, the GDP. Look at all the parameters of where we find out where the economy is at. And yet they keep claiming that we're going to get this boom. It's going to happen in 2 weeks. It's going to happen in a month, right?
yeah. Well, it's just what people don't understand is his own followers, his people who love and support him. He just took advantage of them. His family took millions of dollars from this crypto deal, and then they're all getting screwed. He doesn't even care about his followers, his base. I mean, I wish people would realize that and take that into consideration.
Well, I'll take it a step further. I'll take it a step further.
He is.
I don't even think he cares about his own family. I think the only person that Donald Trump cares about is himself. And these people out there, these cultists out there that still support him. Listen, I'm just going to be honest with you. If you don't like Kamala Harris and you're never going to vote for a Democrat, fine. I'll disagree with you on that. But the people out there that still say that Trump is doing a great job and he's a great president, they are cultists. That's what they are. They are in a cult. I don't think there's any other way to say it.
Nope.
Yeah.
It's all psychological.
Yeah. No, I agree. Carl, it's good to hear from you.
Psychologically.
Well, of course. Yeah, I think they're all demented psychologically at this point. I completely agree with you. Carl, I appreciate the call. Good to hear from you.
You got
Thank you so much. Number to call
Pushing the limits. Every
as you're
weekday at
listening to
noon
KSHP
on
100.7,
North Las Vegas
107.1
AM,
FM, and
North Las
1400 AM
Vegas, and
KSHP. When you look at the point that we are at in this country, I believe that it is not surprising. I didn't think it would be as bad as it is, but not surprising. Again, that number to call is 702-221-7283, and the number is 702-221-SAVE. Do you think Scott Jennings deserves to be fired? We're still commenting on that. We're talking about Pete Hegseth's press conference earlier today, Donald Trump's press conference earlier today. Slap on the wrist. Everything's going to be okay, guys. It's patriotic to pay more for gas. It's patriotic to go to an ill-advised and I would call it an illegal war. It's patriotic to spend $5 a gallon for gas. It's all patriotic, ladies and gentlemen. But have no worries, because Pete Hegseth says Iran's behavior is unacceptable. Ooh, that's really scary. Please explain to me, MAGA Republicans, can you please name me one sanction that Iran has given up? Just one. We're now over 2 months into this war. Name me one sanction. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. We're now going to go to California, and we are going to go to Dave. Dave, what's going on?
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
Hey, good, man.
Hey, so here's the thing I wanted to say. Have you noticed, and you know, these dumb callers that come in that are all MAGA, whatever the hell you want to call it. Have you noticed, I'm getting sick and tired of these Republicans calling in, and basically they're always saying when they know that they're pretty much, sunk, they're pretty much gone. When things are bad or happening on the news, and they know that they're losing a battle on every area, whether it's Social Security and the war and everything like this. Well, let's start blaming Biden. Hey, yeah, let's start blaming Biden. That's a good idea. Blame Biden, because they know they don't have nothing. They don't have anything to back it up, because everybody's against their war. Everybody's against their everybody's Medicaid cut, Social Security cut, food stamp cut. Everybody knows that they're horrible. So they're trying to deflect everything they're trying to do and blame it on Biden. Hey, let's blame it on the Democrat. I am so sick of it, people. That doesn't fly with people already. The chat room is not stupid. We're smart. We finally get it. You can try to change our minds. We're not that stupid at all. So don't try to twist our straight mental thinking, because we already know the truth. It's like I said, we already know the truth. We already know what's going on. We're not that stupid. And when you get like MAGA callers all the time, they're trying to twist it, thinking that, oh yeah, we're going to lean on their side. Look, you can call you want. We already know we're going to get this guy out on the midterms. We're going to get him out. We're going to get a Democrat in the White House. It's over. You guys are numbered. You guys are done. It's over for the Republicans. Sorry to say.
I think the midterms, Dave, are going to be a bloodbath for Republicans. I certainly do agree with you there. We can't be complicit, and I know you're not but people got to get out there and they got to vote, right? They got to get out there and they got to vote. We have to continue to allow our voices to be heard. It's why I open up the phone lines every day on this show. And you guys need to be heard. But at the same point, we have to make sure that our friends are willing to get out there and vote, especially the people that are now admitting that they shouldn't have voted for Donald Trump. And yes, there are plenty of them out there. You got to get out.
Brian,
you got to vote. Yeah.
Brian, I want to make one point.
Yeah.
I'll make it one point. There's truth. There's truth to power. Can we all agree?
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay, well, you're speaking the truth.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. They don't have truth. Remember that. There's always truth to power when it comes to when the Democrats, and if there's something wrong with the Democrats, we'll call that out too. We will never let that go by. We've seen something that's scandal like the Bill Clinton and the Monica Lewinsky. We called that out. So people, we're not hypocrites.
Dave, can I ask you a question, Dave, if I may? I want to get your thoughts on this, because I put out a video yesterday that went viral. And my understanding is Rudy Giuliani's doing a little bit better. Okay, great. I don't wish him harm, but why should I have to pray for him? Why should I have to pray for somebody that was one of the people that attacked our democracy with this fake electorate of BS? And why should I pray for somebody that I think is a bad human being? Yes, I believe Rudy Giuliani is a bad human being. Why should I pray for somebody like that? Do you think that's wrong?
It's not wrong, because you know why? He lied on our democracy and he lied on our Constitution, and that pisses me off, period.
Yeah, it's exactly what I said. Exactly what I said to a Republican friend of mine earlier this morning. I said the exact same thing. That pisses me off, what he did to our democracy. Absolutely, I agree. 100%. 100%. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Jason calling out of Las Vegas. Jason, I appreciate you coming on. What's on your mind?
I'm very highly upset right now. I'll tell you right now, because last night, I don't know the guy's name, but Adam Mossler put a expert class.
Lambert. Yeah, he was going after Lambert, the MAGA Republican. Yep.
This guy was such a moron. He was giving them facts, pure facts, why the 18 to 30-year-olds don't support this war. And this man had a nerve to say, you young people are ungrateful, even though the baby boomers have put us into unwinnable wars over and over again. That's number one. Number two, I hate when CNN doesn't have full knowledge. They're talking about, if the merger would have happened. No, if the merger would have happened, they would still went out of business. Because we knew JetBlue, we learned it yesterday. JetBlue is going under, and so was Spirit. So if they would have combined, it would have just been a bigger default. So I just couldn't stand when people don't, and then Abby Phillips sitting there, and she don't got no knowledge, because all she had to do is do her homework.
You're not going to get me defending Abby Phillips. I don't think she does a very good job on that panel. I think she interrupts too much at times where she shouldn't, and I think she's the last person. Listen, I've lost a lot of respect for Jake Tapper. I'll be honest with you. Okay, I've lost a lot of respect for him for that book he put out about Joe Biden. With that being said, I still think Jake Tapper would do a better job in replacing Abby Phillips. I actually do. And I just think Abby Phillips is the wrong person for that job. That's my personal opinion.
Well, my personal opinion is she'll overtalk the Democrats, but she'll let the Republicans just rant and rave and don't say nothing. That really bothered me. Plus, that young brother that was talking about he didn't mind the Civil Rights Act being gutted, I wish you could get him on the radio show, because I would love to smack him with a little bit of reality. Yeah. Your great-grandmother, your great-grandmother, and your grandmother behind that all stood and fought for the civil rights for you to vote. And the first thing you said, I don't care about the Civil Rights, Voter Rights Act. Oh, I was so angry about that.
Yeah.
But other than that, Adam Mossler did such a good job. I was so impressed.
Yeah, and I'm glad that Adam's going to be joining us on the show Thursday. I appreciate the call, Jason. Thank you very much. Adam, I've known Adam for years, and he's also behind the scenes, just spending some time with him away from the cameras as I did in Phoenix a few months ago. He is extremely humble. He's a good person, right? And on top of being as intelligent as he is. Let's go to Mike now. Mike is calling out of New York, wants to talk a little bit about Donald Trump. What's up, Mike?
Hey, Brian.
Hey,
I want to mention the fact of, what do you think about Donald Trump sitting there in the Oval Office with a whole bunch of children around him?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Mike.
Talking about. Now, wouldn't you think that somebody in that room, somebody in his administration, would have half a brain and say, you know what, let's take care of the kids and get their issues out of the way, and then escort them out, and take their pictures and escort them out, and then we can answer some questions about the war, and then we can talk about blowing things up and making people cry and say uncle and surrender and all this other nonsense.
Yeah.
Isn't there a single person in that office, in that Oval Office, that has a damn brain in their head?
Well, let's talk a little bit about what you first brought up, Mike, which Donald Trump being around children. Can you find me one MAGA Republican behind closed doors that would feel comfortable allowing their kids around Donald Trump? Now, I get this all the time from MAGA Republicans. I get it every single day on social media. Brian, where's your evidence that Donald Trump did anything wrong in the Epstein files? And here's my initial response to what I always say to them, and I usually laugh as well. And I say, number one, I talk about Ghislaine Maxwell. Why is she in a Club Med facility? At a minimum, we all have to admit that at a minimum, Donald Trump is enabling and defending pedophilia. That's not even a debate. Okay. Now, whether people don't believe whether Donald Trump did anything wrong in the Epstein files, I want to see those 3 million files that have still not been released. We know that there have been some credible allegations against Donald Trump, to the point where the FBI actually interviewed at least one woman who was a young child at the time. We also know that there are 25 women that have accused Donald Trump of sexual misconduct. And we know that he's a liable sexual abuser. We also know that he, has been dishonest and doesn't want us talking about the Epstein files. So if people are going to take that into account and they don't think that that means that Donald Trump did anything wrong, then I think at a minimum, they are extremely complicit.
Oh, of course. Of course. And the worst part about it too is every time you turn around, someone's coming up with another picture with him next to somebody, and the person he's next to is a convicted rapist or a convicted child abuser, or it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's absolutely, everybody in his orbit is a scumbag.
This is, and I agree. And these are the same people who said the Hollywood elitists were the pedophiles. This is the same guy who hired a woman by the name of Pam Bondi when we had those files and those binders in phase 1. So again, zero credibility. I've been very consistent on the Epstein files, and I always will be. I want justice for the victims. I don't care whether that means it's somebody on the left or somebody on the right. But here's what I will tell you. Joe Biden isn't in the Epstein files over 30,000 times. Barack Obama isn't in the Epstein files over 30,000 times. Neither is Kamala Harris, and neither is Hillary Clinton, okay? I understand that Bill Clinton's name is in the Epstein files, and as I've said before and I say again, let the chips fall where they may. But we know for sure that Donald Trump is protecting Ghislaine Maxwell. Why? Why is Ghislaine Maxwell being protected? I think MAGA Republicans need to ask themselves that question.
Against him.
Right.
That's why.
Correct.
She has the cards against him. That's exactly why.
I think
he likes to talk about who has the cards.
I think any reasonable person would come up with that conclusion, my friend, and I really do appreciate you, and I appreciate your call, my friend, and I am humbled that the average IQ of a PTL listener is much higher than I think any conservative talk show throughout the country. I'll tell you that. And that gentleman's phone call is a perfect example of that, and I appreciate you, sir. Thank you. 702-221-7283. Again, 702-221-7283. Let's go to Andrew, who's calling out of California. What's up, Andrew?
Yeah, how you doing, Brian?
Hey, what's up?
Just wanted to, sorry, I'm doing all right.
Cool. What's on your mind today, my friend?
Well, I guess my question that I really had was, what, if you think that the administration is doing so bad in Iran, what is your, I guess, your solution? What would your solution be?
Yeah, it's a good question, Andrew. And the first thing I will say, is that I wouldn't have gone into Iran in the first place because of Benjamin Netanyahu putting pressure on Donald Trump. We shouldn't have been there to begin with. So what is your question? Your question is, what should we do now?
I'm guessing just in general, because as far as I'm aware, the reason why one of the reasons why this is such a, it goes back to gas, and just go back to gas prices. The obvious problem there is the foothold that Iran has on the global trade of oil.
Mm-hmm.
It's illegal in international law. It is illegal for them to put the mines and be able to hold that area, the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah.
Well, why is the world allowing Iran to dictate the trade of goods through that area?
Well, I would
Why
say,
is that allowed?
Well, I would first of all say that the Strait of Hormuz was open a couple months ago. Obviously, it's not open now, and it would have been open right now.
You're not answering my question.
I am answering your question. You're talking about the Strait of Hormuz, and you're asking me why. Why should Iran?
Why does Iran?
Yeah.
Why does Iran get to have the carte blanche of what goes in and out of that area? Why?
Well, because it's their area. I would start with number one. It's their area. Number two,
it's international waters.
Well, I understand. I understand it's international waters. I get that. But the Strait of Hormuz has been.
I thought you were big on laws, Brian.
I am. What would make you think that I'm not, quote, big on law? Yeah, the whole issue I have with this war is that I believe it's an illegal war and it's an ill-advised war. Do you disagree with me on that? I mean, we're getting back to square one here.
That's debatable. That's debatable. But the fact that Iran has such a chokehold on that area of what goes in and out, and they can say they can blow up whatever, they can fire on whatever, they can do whatever they want in that area that is international law. but international law dictates that they can't do that.
Yep.
Why are they doing that, and who is going to step up to them and tell them that they can't do that?
Well, telling them that they
are the other
can't,
countries gonna do that?
telling them that they can't do that is not really going to change anything. That's number one. I would also say
what do you think?
But that's not why we went to war. But Andrew, you do understand that that's not why Donald Trump.
How do you know?
Because of what they said. Sure, I'll answer you. The reason why I know is because Donald Trump's first statements on this war was talking about regime change and people that are less radical in there. It's the opposite. He's also talked about
one of many reasons.
Okay, I'm giving you more.
I'm
giving you more reasons. The civilians, he's told, needed to rise up. I still don't even know what that means. In order for the regime that you want, you're going to have to be able to put boots on the ground. Okay, we've talked about, or they've talked about, the threat of a nuclear weapon and uranium.
But the current regime was the one that was keeping the current regime.
You think this is better for America?
That are now,
and you think this new regime is better for America?
I think nobody should be able to dictate what goes through that.
Okay, but I understand.
They're
I understand your point. I understand your point when you're talking about the Strait of Hormuz, but I'm trying to talk about why Donald Trump and his administration claimed they went to war. Another claim that they've said is that they were a imminent threat to the United States of America. They haven't proven that one iota. They haven't proven.
They were talking about it all the time. Every assembly that they had, they were talking about death to America.
They were
what
talking.
Do you mean that they weren't?
They were talking about it all the time. Just because somebody shouts out "death to America" doesn't necessarily mean that they are a direct imminent threat. They're not our country, so I'm not going to
like that.
Andrew, with respect.
So what are we going to do?
Andrew,
what are we going to do?
Andrew, I'm trying to
people
answer.
that are trying are being illegal, that are doing stuff illegal.
Okay. So Andrew, here's
what
why
are we going to do about?
Here's why I
what should we do?
disagree.
What should we have done?
Andrew, here's why I disagree with your premise of the question. Okay, Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine. Donald
I'm not
Trump.
talking about Vladimir Putin.
I know you don't want to.
about-
I know you don't want to talk about that. I want to
Iran.
talk about
We're
your
talking about the current
Andrew. You got to
conflict.
let me finish. I know you don't want to talk about your hypocrisy, but I am bringing up that up is because Donald Trump.
You're just obfuscating.
No, I'm not. I'm proving your hypocrisy. You don't want to talk about Vladimir Putin, and you don't want to talk
talking about Iran.
No. I'm talking about hypocrisy and laws that are broken in foreign policy.
Are we in conflict with Vladimir Putin?
Yeah.
Are we, as United States,
I would say we are.
Vladimir Putin in Russia?
Sure, I would
How
say
are we
we
in
are.
conflict with that? How are we in conflict?
I would say we are because Ukraine is our ally.
Are we in direct?
I'm trying to give you an answer. You got to let me finish. So we've put in a lot of money into Ukraine and defending Ukraine, our allies, because Vladimir Putin is not only a threat to Ukraine, he's a threat to the world. Donald Trump decided to roll out the red carpet for Putin, and there have been no sanctions. Let me ask you a question, because maybe I'm ignorant to this. In the 2 months that we've started this war, or Donald Trump has started this war, what sanctions has Iran given up?
You have not answered my question.
Could
so
you
why
please
am I
answer?
answering yours?
Could you please answer my question? Can you name me one
But you're
sanction
not
that Iran?
answering my question.
Well, I did answer your question, and you interrupted me
You couldn't
about
answer
16
questions on
different
last
times.
Tuesday with Rachel Wilson.
Okay.
You're doing the
Sir,
same thing now.
sir, you're
obfuscating.
deflecting,
You're
sir.
no
I know that you're. I know that. I know that.
You're
Okay.
not even answering my
Okay,
original
sir,
question.
sir. I know
You
that
didn't
you
even
want to
answer my original question.
Are you going to continue to interrupt me? See, this is why I pod people down. They don't allow me to talk on my own show. They continue to interrupt. Now, this guy who's calling into the show, who was not going to call a gentleman because he just showed his true colors. He's an Andrew Wilson, I guess, Rachel Wilson fan, and he doesn't want to talk about the actual issues. I asked him, what has Iran given up? He's talking about Iran breaking the law about the Strait of Hormuz. Whether you think they're breaking the law or not is not in question here. Here's what we do know. We know that the Strait of Hormuz is closed. We know the reason why it's closed is because Donald Trump decided to put his foot into this and go to war with Iran. He doesn't want to talk about that. In a perfect world, sure, sir. I wish that Iran didn't have control over the Strait of Hormuz. Could you make the argument that they're breaking the law? Sure. In a perfect world, I wish that wasn't happening. But you're not talking about the actual issues at hand right now. Iran is closed. So now let's see if you can answer a direct question. Why is the Strait of Hormuz closed right now?
Because the Iranians are illegally targeting other vessels.
Then why was it open
in
2 months
the
ago?
Strait
Then
of-
why was it open 2 months ago?
just because the hostilities then weren't
okay. I'm going to ask you the question again. I'm going to Andrew. You don't answer a direct question. I'm going to ask you the question again, and I'm going to pod you down once again because you're not answering a direct question. I'm going to ask you the question again, which you failed to answer. Why right now is the Strait of Hormuz closed, and why was it open 2 months ago? Go ahead, sir.
The Iranians have continued over however, I'm not sure how long they've held the Strait of Hormuz, but they have held an illegal
I didn't ask you about the illegal seizure. I'm now asking you the same question for a third time, which you are failing to answer. Why right now is the Strait of Hormuz closed, and why was it open 2 months ago? Go ahead, sir.
We're telling the Iranians they can't do what they're trying to do.
Sir, I'm now asking you the same question, and I'm going to answer it myself because you're obviously not capable. The reason why the Strait of Hormuz directly is closed right now is because Donald Trump decided to go to war with Iran. And I'm asking you again another question. You failed to answer that question. I'm going to ask you another question. Can you name me any sanctions that Iran has given up in the 2 months of this war as we pod you back up? Can you please give me one sanction that Iran has given up in 2 months of this war? Because when you declare victory, which apparently Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump have been doing over the course of the last 2 months, can you please name me one sanction that Iran has given up?
How is it going to be beaten by a housewife?
Okay, again, see, now we go to the actual task at hand here. When he gets into a corner, he loses the argument, and he can't answer a very basic question, which I've asked 5 times. Then he gives his opinion on a debate about feminism when I could care less about. I got paid to do it, as I've explained on this show over and over again, which, by the way, has nothing to do with this conversation that we're having right now. But when you get pinned in a corner and you show your stupidity and your ignorance, being a MAGA mushroom gobbler that you are, you say, how does it feel to be beaten by a housewife? Instead of actually answering a basic question. Well, sir, I'll still answer your question, even though you haven't answered mine. I have laughed my way to the bank. And as I've told them, I wasn't an expert on feminism, and I'm happy to be the villain. I was paid so that people like you can call into the show and say, how does it feel to be beaten by a housewife? Sir, how does it feel to be beaten by a left-leaning name Brian Shapiro, 46-year-old? How does that feel? I've asked you the same question 6 times in a row. You haven't answered the same question. So I'll ask it again. Can you please name me one sanction that Iran has given up? Now, I don't care what your opinions are about the Wilsons. I don't care what your opinions are on a debate I had, which, by the way, I got paid for, and I was happy to do it, and I'm laughing my way to the bank. I'm now asking you again with your Tucker Carlson laugh. Can you please name me one sanction that Iran has given up in 2 months? I've now asked you 6 times. If you don't know the answer, sir, please tell me, and I'll give you the answer. Can you please answer, sir?
My original question was what?
No. I don't care what your original question was. Answer mine. I don't care what your original question was. Answer mine. We're going to pot him down again because the coward won't answer. I'm now asking for a 7th time. Can you please name me one sanction that Iran has given up in 2 months of this war? I would imagine you probably are not capable of doing so because you're a fan of the Wilsons. Can you please name me one sanction that Iran is giving up in 2 months? Just one, sir, as we pod you back up.
You are really against the Constitution. Do you know?
Won't answer the question. Have a nice day, sir. I'm not against the Constitution. The person that's against the Constitution, which, by the way, had nothing to do with my question, because the answer is 0. They haven't given up any sanctions. The person that is against the Constitution, that is the person that doesn't seem to understand that it says at any point, any person has the right to due process, not any citizen. The person that is ripping up the Constitution is the person that you support because you're a Trump mushroom gobbler, and the answer is 0. The point that I was trying to make in this conversation is that the Strait of Hormuz was open 2 months ago. The reason why it's not open today is because Donald Trump decided to go to war with Iran. They have given up 0 sanctions. Those are the 2 questions and the 2 comments and the 2 statements that you failed to address. And then when I pinned you in a corner and you weren't able to address those issues, you only brought up Andrew Wilson and Rachel Wilson because you're a complete idiot. Have a nice day, sir. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Lucas. Lucas is next up on PTL. Hey, Lucas. I think Lucas is calling from Wisconsin, if I'm not mistaken. What's up, Lucas?
Hello?
Yes. What's up, Lucas? What's going on?
Hey, Brian. Hey, nice to meet you. I appreciate you having me on.
Sure.
I just wanted to. I realize now the prompt is about the Strait of Hormuz.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
There's other topics we're talking up. The person who called up last go around who wouldn't answer multiple questions of mine because he's a coward. That's par for the course for these MAGA Republicans.
Yep.
Go right ahead, sir.
I gotcha. So I guess I wanted to dive into. You always allude to the liable sexual offender that Trump.
Yeah, is that not true?
Was fine liable. No, it is. So I'm just wondering. Like, I'd like to go into that. So,
sure.
Do you know on the verdict form? Do you know what there was a question that they asked the jury, and it said, "Did Donald Trump rape E. Jean Carroll?"
Okay, what about it?
Do you know what the jury marked?
What did they mark, sir?
No.
Okay. What did the judge characterize the case? How did he characterize it?
I'm not really.
Okay.
I don't.
So let's
really
say that's
care
true.
about
Okay,
what
so let's say that's true. I said he's a liable sexual abuser.
Right.
We agree that that's factually
Do
accurate.
you know the difference between civil and criminal court and the
When did I say? Yes, I do, sir. Yes, I do, sir. So let's go through this. He was found liable for sexual abuse. He has 25 to 30 women that have accused him of sexual assault, including his own ex-wife, in court documents when she testified under oath. This is the same guy that was named over 30,000 times in the Epstein files.
I hear you.
Are you telling me that you don't think that there was any improprieties or wrongdoings or possibly that Donald Trump sexually abused women in general terms? With all that,
I'm just talking. I want to stay on the.
I understand you want to stay on E. Jean Carroll, and I'm happy to go back to E. Jean Carroll with you. But the premise premise that you are making, well, I bring up a lot of things when it comes to Donald Trump's sexual improprieties and the allegations that have been put forth.
Do you know that?
So I'm asking you, hold on a second, sir. Lucas, hold on. Lucas, I don't care about the statute of limitations. Please focus.
But,
sir, with all the people out there that have accused Donald Trump of rape or sexual abuse, including his ex-wife. And when you look at his history about talking about grabbing women by the genitals, and you look at all the improprieties that he has done, do you mean to tell me, okay, I'm glad you hear me. With that all being said, Lucas, are you mean to tell me that you don't think Donald Trump has done anything unlawful to women? You don't think there's any evidence that shows that he probably has done some bad things to women?
I mean, honestly, I feel like if there was actual evidence, it would have came out by now.
If there was actual evidence, it would have come out by now. So why do you think
actual evidence that could point to a crime?
Gotcha. Well, so why do you think it took so many years to prosecute Harvey Weinstein? Why do you think Bill Cosby's out right now?
Because Hollywood is a corrupt
I agree. Why do you think there's only two people that have been held to account when it comes to hold on. Why do you think there's only two people that have been held to account in the Epstein files, Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell? Why do you think that is?
I don't really want to get into that.
I bet you don't want to get into it, but I'm going to get into it. I don't care whether you don't want to get into it. I want you to answer my question. Answer my question. I answered yours. Answer mine. Why do you think there's only been two people held to account in the Epstein files? Why, Lucas?
No, actually, people are being held to account. People got.
How many people have been convicted in the Epstein files? How many people have been?
Andrew lost his title,
sir.
But hey,
how many people have been found? No. You didn't answer mine, so I'm going to ask it again, and then you can answer me a question. That's how this show works. Why do you think in the Epstein files, when we have a plethora, sadly, of children that were molested, why do you think criminally there's only been two people held to account? Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Why do you think that is, sir?
I think there's a lot going on there that I can't really answer for you.
Okay, well, guess what? I'll answer it. I'll answer it.
Here, can I answer? No, can I keep going on for a second?
I'm waiting for you to answer, please. Sir.
Which administration arrested Epstein?
So I'm going to ask you the same question again.
Question?
Yeah, sure. So under Joe Biden, Ghislaine Maxwell was convicted. She was charged and she was convicted.
And
now I'm going to ask you the same question. I'm going to ask you that you're not answering my question, sir.
After her trial was over, Biden released all the files.
So going by your answer,
after
Ghislaine I'll answer that question. I'll answer that question.
All the files.
Okay, so your answer is you're blaming Joe Biden for why people weren't.
No, I'm not blaming.
Oh, you're not.
Saying that
okay, so you haven't answered my question, sir.
Trump administration.
Sir, you haven't answered my question yet. I'll
3
answer
million
yours.
documents were
Sir,
released under
3 million
government.
documents are yet to be released. So I'm going to ask you the
No,
same.
they were.
No,
they were
half the
released under
documents.
executive
Wrong.
order,
Half the
and
documents.
Trump had to
Half
do
the
an executive
documents.
order
Sir,
just
it's
to
not my
unseal the
fault,
documents.
Lucas. It's not my fault that you don't seem to understand facts. There are still
No,
3 million.
I do understand
How many
facts,
files
just
have not been
listening.
released? How many files have not been released?
I don't know. You say like a
How many
couple hundred
files
or
have?
something that really incriminate
No,
Trump,
I
but
didn't say a couple
how many
hundred.
were
Answer,
released? How many
sir,
were released by the
sir,
Trump administration versus the
sir,
Biden
you're not answering
administration?
my question. I'll answer
No,
your
answer
Joe
my
Biden
question.
stuff. I'll answer your Joe Biden
Answer
stuff.
my question.
I'll
How
answer
many,
your.
how many files
I'll
did
answer
Joe
your
Biden
Joe
release
Biden.
after Ghislaine Maxwell was
Ghislaine
sentenced and the trial
Maxwell.
was over?
Okay, so you didn't answer my question, but I will still answer
All right.
yours if you will please be
I'm just
quiet and
wondering
stop.
why didn't the, why
I'm going to
didn't
have to
Biden
pod
release
you
it?
down if you continue to interrupt me. I'm trying to answer
All
your
right.
question and you
All
don't
right, I
shut up.
got
So
you.
please
I
shut
got
your
you.
MAGA trap up and let me answer. So
I
in the Joe
voted for
Biden,
Vivek in
pot
the
him down
primary,
again.
not
You won't shut up and you won't let me answer a question. Now I'm going to make you shut up. First of all, the question was, how many files have yet to be released? About 50% of the files have yet to have been released. Number two, Ghislaine Maxwell was under investigation. Then there was a trial and then there was an appeal. Okay. You can go ahead and look that up if you don't believe me. I've asked you the same question now 10 times. I'm going to ask it again. And if you don't answer it this time, I'm going to answer it for you because I think you are a buffoon. Why do you think that there have only been 2 people in the Epstein files that have been criminally held responsible? Why do you think that is, sir? And if you're just going to say it's just Joe Biden, then I'm going to hang up the phone on
I
you.
never said
then
it was.
please
I never
answer
said it
my
was because of
question.
Joe Biden.
Then answer.
I think because there are forces far above us that I don't know. I don't know. You're right. I don't know.
Okay, I'm glad. Thank you for finally.
know.
Thank you for finally admitting you don't know because you're a clown. Here's why, and it has nothing to do with politics. There are a lot of people, sadly, with a lot of money, and money equals power. There are a lot of people in the Epstein files that have a lot of money. Some of those people are friends of Donald Trump. Some of those people are a guy by the name of Donald Trump. And here's what I know for sure, sir. Donald Trump was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein. Now I'm going to ask you another question. You really haven't answered any of my questions, or if you give me an answer, you say you don't know. I'm going to ask you another question. Can you give me one logical reason why the Trump administration have treated Ghislaine Maxwell like a VIP? They put her in a Club Med facility. And 5 months ago, she said she was going to give up names only if she got a pardon. Donald Trump kept her in the Club Med facility. Can you give me one logical reason or explanation why Donald Trump, I would assume a guy who you probably voted for, is treating Ghislaine Maxwell like a VIP? Why would Donald Trump put her in a Club Med facility, one of the biggest sex traffickers in the history of this country? Can you give me one logical reason, sir?
You keep bringing this up about.
Can you please answer my question?
I will. Maybe they got some information.
Maybe they got some information. Hey, dope, I just told you 5 months. First of all, they didn't get any information other than Donald Trump didn't do anything wrong. Number two, I just told you Maxwell 5 months ago with her attorney said she wasn't going to give up any names or give up any information unless she got a full pardon. Donald Trump kept her in the same Club Med facility. So you're wrong. Give me another or one logical reason or explanation why they are continuing to treat Ghislaine Maxwell like a VIP. I'm now asking the same question for a third time.
Know. How do you know?
You don't know.
You
don't know. Well, let me give you my explanation. So you don't seem to know anything. You keep giving me the answer, I don't know. Well, let me give you my logical theory. Donald Trump has already told Marjorie Taylor Greene that he doesn't want to hurt his friends, meaning he's protecting pedophiles. Or maybe he's protecting himself. That's my theory as to why Donald Trump, it's unprecedented, treating one of the biggest sex traffickers in the history of this country like a VIP. But you keep saying you don't know. And the reason why you keep saying you don't know, even though you bring up Joe Biden, why didn't Joe Biden release any files? And I gave you the logical reason why. Because Maxwell was under investigation, Maxwell was under trial, and Maxwell was trying to appeal. It was sealed. But every single time I ask you to hold Donald Trump to account or any way, shape, or form, Lucas, your response, I don't know. Lucas, I think the problem is you're a Donald Trump mushroom gobbler. I think the problem is you curl yourself into your Donald Trump pretzel. What do you make? Since you like to defend Donald Trump when it comes to the Epstein files, I'm wondering, and you're probably not going to want to talk about this either, because it makes your orange turd look really bad. But what do you make of Donald Trump bragging on the Howard Stern show about going into teenage girls' locker rooms? What would you say about somebody that brags sexually about going into teenage girls' locker rooms without their permission? Would you call that person a pedophile? Yes or no?
Is that all you can do?
Can you please answer? Is that all you can do is defend Donald Trump? Answer the question. Answer the question. Answer the question.
Did he go into women's dressing rooms? Were they clothed? Were they unclothed? Did
Yes.
he do anything
Yes.
nefarious?
Yes. He actually. Yes, I'm answering your question because you're ignorant to it. You don't know. Again, Lucas doesn't know. Donald Trump claimed on the Howard Stern show that some of these women were undressing. He said that on the Howard Stern show. Multiple women have come forward in interviews and have said that they were half naked when Donald Trump came in without permission. So yes, I do know. And by Donald Trump's own words, he admitted. So now that we've gotten past that, would you call somebody a pedophile if they made a statement like that?
No,
you wouldn't. Okay, well, have a nice day. Have a nice day, sir. Well, let me give you an example, Mr. Trump mushroom gobbling idiot, because that's what you are. You're an idiot. Either you don't know or you excuse pedophile type behavior. When you knowingly go into a teenage girl's locker room, knowing that they're half naked, and these are teenagers, that is the definition of a pedophile. Sir, you're a pedophile enabler yourself, and you are a Donald Trump Klansman is what you are. You are a Donald Trump mushroom gobbler who defends Donald Trump and puts yourself into a MAGA pretzel nonstop. We're going to take a quick 2-minute break, and when we come back, we will be taking some more. 702-221-7283, 702-221-SAVE is the number to call. We'll take a quick break. I know we have more people on hold. We'll get back right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits. We'll also get back to the YouTube Super Chat, and we will read those off when we come back. Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Nevada voters. Primary is June 9th. Early voting starts May 23rd. Hi, this is EOC. Vote Progressive Democratic candidate Eva Olivia Chase for Nevada State Assembly District 16, U.S. Air Force veteran, college graduate. I support all Nevada unions and repealing Nevada's right to work law. Support the LGBTQ and gay community. Please donate to Committee to Elect Eva O. Chase at Nevada State Bank. My website is www.eocfornevada.org. Mark your ballot. June 9th. Eva Olivia Chase for Nevada State Assembly District 16. EOC is the choice. Approved and paid for by Eva Olivia Chase.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
You are way too smart, way too talented, way too good to be where you are. You are meant to be making way more money, feel way hotter in your body, and having way more fun. Hi, I'm Nicole Mitchell, and I'm a life coach. I help you get hotter and richer. If that is what you're looking for, you can find me at NicoleMitchell.com. My name, Nicole, is with a K, NicoleMitchell.com. You can reach out to me on my website or on Instagram, and I will be happy to be in touch and figure out what you're looking for and how I can support you in getting there.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It is Pushing the Limits on a Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
So I always love going to the YouTube super chat because, first of all, I appreciate your support. As I'm eating these, I'm going to eat on the air. Is that okay, everybody? I've got these chocolate Cheetos. Oh my God. They are so delicious. My blood sugar gets a little low sometimes, and I need to sugar up. I think that last call took a lot out of me. When I have to ask the same question 3, 4, 5 times in a row, and they don't answer, it's brutal. Minnesota Vet. We love you, Minnesota Vet. He says another baby in the chat. He sits in the chat bitching about Brian, but doesn't have the guts to actually call in. Minnesota Vet, that is par for the course for the stuff that I have to deal with on a regular basis. I do give credit to the people that I disagree with that at least do have the gall to call in. I shouldn't say gall, but they're at least willing to call in. I always appreciate that. He also said, I'm going to call out Aaron 20 in the chat. He won't call in because he doesn't want to talk about any topic. He claims he'll call in next time. Again, that's what these MAGA Republicans do. They will continue to do that, and they will continue to complain. But then the few times that some of these people actually do call in and they get destroyed, they don't call back, and then they'll bring up the Wilsons. That's what these people do, man. Minnesota Vet also says, Brian, we have some real babies in the chat today. They won't call in because you might be mean to them. It's really pathetic. I've gotten it from these people over and over and over again, where they'll complain about me being mean, about the name calling and all this other stuff. I had to deal with it last week in North Carolina too, and yet they just can't handle it. Penman says, Brian Shapiro, why did your moderator put Blue Eye Media in timeout? We work with all pro-democracy media outlets, including PTL. What did we do wrong? I don't know anything about that. It might have been a mistake. I don't know. Justin just said, my bad, I pressed the wrong button. So that was Justin's fault. So we will try to undo that. Justin is admitting that he made a mistake there. So that was completely intentional. So we apologize for that. We'll try to get it fixed. By the way, there's a few other people that were blocked on here. It was completely unintentional. We're going to try to work on how to fix that so that we unblock you. So that was completely unintentional. And we fixed it? Okay. Oh, okay. Justin will take care of that. I don't know how you fix it, but we will fix it. All right. Let's get back to the phone calls here. Who do we got? Let's go to Casey, who's calling out of Florida, wants to talk about Trump. We'll get to the rest of the calls. Hey, Casey, what's up?
Brian, first, it's been a while since I talked to you, and I got to be honest with you, it's sad that our country's been taken over people like that husband and wife that you battle with all the time, that type of genre, and then the woman, that girl that you just debated that was absolutely off her rocker. I just, it's sad that's taken over our country. And that's what scares me when we go into this conversation with you, that it's great that, well, it's not great, but that Trump's approval rating is in the toilet. But honestly, the Democrats aren't much off better, Brian, which scares me. It's, you know, people are not voting for the Democrat. Yet we've already offered, Kamala already offered the first-time buyers program, was it $25,000, whatever it was. We pitched affordable health care. We get, Roe versus Wade. People didn't come out for that. They've said that, people didn't come out with it. We had gun massacres since Parkland here in Florida. That didn't save this country. That's what scares me, is that the Democratic Party, they have not, the only person that has stepped down is Nancy Pelosi. Okay. We ran the playbook that Trump is a bad man. People still, unfortunately, still voted for it. But the only thing that's in our corner right now is we have another winning lottery ticket. Is that this, the gas prices are going up. Inflation it's gotten worse. People finally realize, something, I shouldn't have sat home. Sleepy Joe wasn't so bad. Are people? Are you with me, Brian?
I am. Listen, Casey, I have a lot of criticisms for the left as well, and I think your comments are very fair. I will say this: it's impossible to have a legitimate conversation with somebody who thinks women shouldn't be allowed to vote. It's never going to go well. It's impossible to have a conversation with anybody out there that thinks women are second-class citizens. It's impossible to have a conversation with someone that can't admit that maybe Donald Trump did some bad things, that maybe all the times he's listed in the Epstein files and all his improprieties, maybe some of these women are telling the truth. How can you have a legitimate conversation with somebody like that? Listen, I agree with you. I have my qualms and my issues with people on the left as well. But right now, if you're on the side of Donald Trump and you're on the side of MAGA Republicans, you're on the wrong side of history, no matter how many criticisms we might have for Democrats. And listen, I share your frustration. I'm going to vote for a ham sandwich over any MAGA Republican. I'll tell you that right now.
Me too. But hear me out, though, right?
Yeah.
He has the Supreme Court in his back pocket. He can start. Well, technically, if his approval numbers goes even worse, he can say, my presidency's in trouble. They're going to come after me. He's going to go into not only Cuba, but maybe they make things worse in Iran or start World War III. To the point where he will cancel the election. He's a desperate man. He did it. The reason why he ran for office, not only for the grift, was to keep out of jail. Now he's out of jail and he's got support from the Supreme Court. This is why he's overreaching, because he's been enabled to. Nobody can stop him. I mean, we could have AOC yell at him all day and stuff like that, but the bottom line is, though, he has a Supreme Court. Even though he's ripped up the Constitution, he has help.
No, I listen, I don't disagree with what you're saying. These are very weird and dangerous times that we are living in, and I hear you, and I agree with you. But that doesn't mean we still can't have our voices heard and speak out against Trump. And I know you're not saying that. Listen, the whole Eric Swalwell thing was such a huge disappointment, and he's just a despicable human being. I'm not a fan of the Chuck Schumers of the world. I was never a big Nancy Pelosi fan. I'm not a fan of Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib. And I think there are some people that just care more about clicks on social media than the good of the country. But like I said before, and I'll say again, I'll vote for a ham sandwich over Donald Trump. Let's go to John. John's calling out of Illinois, wants to talk about the Iran war. What's up, John?
Hey, Brian. Hey, I think the problem a lot of these Iranian callers don't get is the problem with Iran goes all the way back to 1953 when we kicked out their democratically elected leader because we wanted cheap oil.
I think that's certainly a part of it. This is a very complex situation. And even though I disagree with Republicans when they say we've had a war for 46 years, the idea that you just want to say, hey, Iran can't control the Strait of Hormuz and they're breaking the law. Yeah, good luck with that. This is a very complex situation. And the only point that I was trying to bring up, and I think you understand this, was that the Strait of Hormuz was open a few months ago. The only reason why it's closed right now is because Donald Trump decided to go to war with Iran. It's very simple, right? It's not
exactly.
Yeah. It's not brain surgery, right? Listen, in a perfect world, I wish we had control of the Strait of Hormuz. I wish we had all the oil. The fact of the matter is that we don't. And Trump's decided to go to war, and that's why we're spending $5 or $6 a gallon for gas.
I hear you.
Yeah. I appreciate you, my friend. I appreciate you calling in. Thank you so much. Let's go to Bill. Bill's calling out of Ohio. Wanted to bring up Mr. Fetterman, who I'm not very fond of these days. What's up, Bill? Bill, are you there? Did we lose Bill? I think we lost Bill. I hope he didn't have a MAGA stroke like Mr. Fetterman had. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. 702-221-SAVE. Andy is calling out of Florida as well. Wants to talk about Pete Hegseth. What's going on, Andy?
Yeah, so anyway, I was watching old Whiskey Pete get his ass drilled on Congress. All he could do, he couldn't answer any questions. I mean, and when he got caught red-handed, he's always laughing or making up excuses and trying to get the last word in. And then one more thing. I don't know if you watched CNN the other day, but this black guy, his name's Isaiah. I don't know his last name.
Isaiah's awesome. I know exactly who you're talking about. He's fantastic.
Yeah, so anyway, they had this Trump mushroom gobbler on CNN, and he turns to, I don't know, to his right, says, I just don't understand why Jimmy Dick come out and apologize to Trump. And then Isaiah goes, are you kidding me? Did you see what he posted on X about Robert Mueller? And then he absolutely got embarrassed on national television.
So Isaiah is an extremely intelligent guy. I saw him on Jubilee. That was the first time I saw him. I think his political commentary is great. The double standard that MAGA Republicans have is a disgrace. Let me give you a perfect example. You know, Rudy Giuliani's health he's in bad shape. I don't know if he's going to make it or not. If in fact Rudy Giuliani did pass away, which I'm not rooting for, but if he did pass away, you wouldn't find one elected official on the left that would say, I'm glad he's dead. The president of the United States said, I'm glad Robert Mueller is dead. By the way, Robert Mueller is a Purple Heart recipient. Okay. Donald Trump not only has no empathy for people, but actually roots upon death for certain people. And MAGA Republicans think they can lecture us about political violence and human decency. They have no ground to stand on.
You know nothing. I'm on Facebook, so when this went down on Jimmy Kimmel, and all these MAGAs were bashing Jimmy Kimmel, and they said that he needed to apologize. Well, I Googled what Trump said about Robert Mueller, and guess what? I threw that right back in the MAGA's face.
Yeah.
But you know what? They had no comment on it. And I said, what do you think Robert Mueller's wife would
it's a good
thought
point.
about what the mushroom this orange turd said?
Yeah.
They had no comment about it.
They have no comment because they can't defend it, my friend. But what I want you to do is I want you to keep bringing it up. Keep bringing it up every day. Anytime a MAGA Republican says, oh, you guys support violence or you guys have no human decency, bring up just all of Donald Trump's tweets. Well, it could be Robert Mueller. It could be John McCain. It could be Rob Reiner. Bring it up, my man. Keep bringing it up and keep doing your thing, and I appreciate it. Let's go to Aaron. Aaron's calling out of Montana, wants to talk about Scott Jennings. What's up, Aaron?
Hey, Brian.
Hey.
So you agree that he should lose his job, right?
I wouldn't have a problem with it, but I think at a minimum, I think what they need to do is he needs to issue an apology and maybe a suspension. Yes.
So if you were the president of CNN, he comes into your office, what are you doing?
I say, listen, first of all, you can't swear on the air and say the F word. First of all, that's beyond inappropriate. You're a paid contributor. Number two, Adam Mockler wasn't putting his hand in your face. That was a lie, and you lost your cool. At a minimum, you need to apologize. If you apologize, we're going to give you a 1 or a 2 week suspension, and then we'll have you come back. At a minimum, that's what I would do.
I think that what he did was absolutely despicable, threatening violence against him. And I think that if you threaten violence or do violence, then your employer has the right to let you go.
I agree.
And there shouldn't be any complaints about it.
I don't.
Then why don't you apply that to your boy Chris?
To my Chris, who are you talking about?
Ostrusco. Why don't you apply it to him?
Well, first of all,
apply
Chris.
it to him.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So Chris Ostrusco wasn't lost his job. Are you aware of that?
Right, and we agree that if someone is violent, they deserve it, right?
Okay, so where do you disagree with me on? Where do you disagree with me on that situation?
Because when you harass people in DMs saying that they lost their jobs,
so
and
first
it's a
of
big
all,
problem
hold on.
You clearly have a problem.
Okay,
with
first of all, let me respond to that. First of all, you said I harassed somebody in DMs. First of all, if you're talking about Savannah Hernandez could have blocked me, or she could have not responded to me. She did. I did not harass her. I was disagreeing with her.
All the people in chat.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to respond to what you just said. Harassment. Excuse me. Are you going to let me finish? Harassment. Are you going to laugh, or are you going to have a conversation with me? Because this is not a serious conversation.
Go ahead. Go ahead, man.
Thank you so much for letting me respond to you on my own show. It's very kind of you.
Go ahead. Go.
Okay, thank you. So harassment is a crime, right? Can we agree? If you're harassed. Oh, really? Harassment is not a crime?
Harassment is an act.
Are you that
like,
stupid?
You can harass someone
No. There is laws in our country where harassment
Brian,
is
if I
actually,
call you
sir,
show,
yes,
is
that's
that
called,
harassment?
sir, we're not talking about calling.
Am I harassing you
Sir,
right now?
are you going to let me answer?
Am I harassing
Are you going to let me
I'll
answer, or
ask
are you
you
going to
one
interrupt?
time.
Pod
I'll
the
ask you
idiot
one
down.
time.
This is why I pod people down, because he doesn't let me respond. Harassment is a crime. Sending somebody a DM, asking them to come on my show, and then saying that you're a grifter is not harassment. Also, you can block people's numbers. You can block somebody on social media. Now, according to, you wanted to bring up Scott Jennings, which I said, I think Scott Jennings should probably get suspended. This guy, Chris, lost his job. He's had death threats. And by the way, he's also being indicted. I think those charges are going to be thrown out the roof. So, sir, I'm trying to understand where you disagree. You have a problem with me DMing somebody and calling them a grifter? That's not harassment, you dumbass. Do you even know what harassment is?
Brian,
dummy. Hey,
dummy.
That's not harassment. By the way, harassment is not is considered a crime when you harass somebody. Oh, really? So here's what I'd like you to do, sir. I'd like you to Google on your phone. All right, let's Google it. No, hold on. Let's do it and pod this idiot down because he won't shut up. I'm Googling on my phone right now on Google because clearly maybe on your Obama phone you can't do it. So I'm going to Google right now, or my producer could look it up, but I'm Googling it on my phone right now, if harassment is a crime. Ready? We're going to do it in real time. Could harassment be considered a crime? I'm Googling it right now. Here we go. Yes. Simple Google. Yes, harassment is considered a crime, particularly when it involves intentional, repeated actions that cause substantial emotional distress. Harassment is considered a crime, you dumbass. Sending somebody a message on X and saying you're a right-wing grifter is not considered harassment, and it's not against the law, anything that I did. Why don't you learn what harassment is, you stupid SOB MAGA mushroom gobbling fool? Have a nice day. It was fun to embarrass you on live radio. All right, everybody, coming up on the show tomorrow, we are going to have Leonard Cardinale joining us in studio, and certainly looking forward to that. The great Adam Mockler will be joining us on the show on Thursday. Thank you to everybody in the Super Chat. This will be Warren Smith's last appearance on this show, and it will be Friday, and it's going to be a fiery conversation. So it's going to be fun. Thank you to everybody in the Super Chat. Check out my website, pushingthelimits.live, and please don't harass me. Thank you for calling in, everybody. Thank you for the love. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Have a great day.
Nevada voters. Primary is